In part 2 of Investing in the Future, AI, Blockchain and Tech for Good with Sangha Capital, Dr. Gemma Green continues the fascinating conversation with Carolina and Berta, where they delve into the world of entrepreneurial pitches, emerging technologies, and the importance of community in venture capital. Join us as we explore the journey of these accomplished women, extract valuable insights, and discuss how staying focused and embracing new trends can shape the future. This episode is packed with inspiration and practical advice. I'm your co-host, Anthony Pearl, and whether you're an investor or a startup looking for insights, it's time to get unblocked. I'm intrigued. How many times have you seen people pitching and just shaking your head inside, just going, they're just getting it all wrong?
I mean, unfortunately, a lot of times. But on the other hand, I think you can sense a founder honesty. Sometimes you rather have a founder be like, look, I don't know this, but I learn and come back, or I'll check, or what would you do? So I think it's a lot about the people character. It doesn't matter if you're honest and want to, like, if there's a good intrinsic values and the right motivation and the right background and focus. I think nothing is really a bad pitch, but it really depends on how people are looking. But sometimes it's just, there's a lot of noise as well. A lot of,
and we've been out there a lot.
Yeah.
So like,
or sometimes you see people that pitch something, then you don't invest, and then 2 years later they're pitching the next trend, and then it was, I don't know, they were pitching blockchain, then healthcare, then AI now, and okay, maybe, I don't know, it's not just the latest buzzword, but what is it that you're trying to solve, as we said, like for the next decade, and focusing on one thing, which you can add, of course, every new technology and every new tool. But there's a little bit of, sometimes a lot of noise. So that's why, there's good people. We're lucky as well. We think maybe because of the Tech for Good thing, but usually we have good pitches. We meet good people, even if we don't invest sometimes. Like, it's nice to see founders doing well, because not everything is investable as well from a matching the portfolio or like the valuation, or if they're going to need too much capital, we tend to stay away from hardware because it just needs way more money than the fund that we have. So we try to do more software. But I think it's just the more than a bad pitch is the willingness of people as well to learn and be humble and surround themselves by people that can help them too.
Yeah, you just mentioned the word humble. It sounds like they're smart, and even if they haven't got the most polished pitch, do you think that they'll figure it out? Do you have faith in their integrity and they're hungry?
Sometimes, and not every time.
Yeah. Then probably what you would do is like stay in touch with them for a while and see how they grow within their ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so kind of ground out your assessment that they might figure it out a little bit, and see if they are in that other category you mentioned where they're just sort of, going to the next shiny object versus actually properly rummaging around to actually come up with an idea to focus on and execute on.
Yeah, exactly. I think you have to be a bit of an optimist, and it's a lot about the people. So if you can see someone honest with integrity and then persistent, sometimes they just pitch something and then it doesn't work and then they give up. It's about persistence, right? Like, you've been doing this, Gemma, for so many years, and I'm sure it's your life project, right? So you're gonna just keep on doing this. So that same with us, with Sangha. So that's the people you're looking for, the people that just don't give up, and they will figure it out.
Yeah, that they see it as like their most important life's work, at least in that period of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of the more unusual ways that you find about deals. There's maybe even the usual ones for the listeners that might be interesting too.
Well, we're very lucky to work with Bertha, so we find deals kiting, which you would be like, oh, wow. So you do nice trips, you go around kiting, doing sports, having fun, and then meeting amazing entrepreneurs. But
when you say kiting, you don't mean just flying a kite. You mean kite surfing.
Kite surfing, yes. Yeah. Sorry. Like actually suffering, like either snow kite or water.
And I think that if you've been around Bill for a while, you've been on the water.
It's true. Yes.
There's a whole theory around it as well from of him, which is a good point, because it's what we're saying out. You need to get to know the people, how persistent they are, and sometimes he's like, look, kite surfing is a very hard thing. So if someone has the resilience to get on the water and get smashed and like,
because you fail over and over and
Yeah.
over, like
It's just
until
like-
you stand up.
And then you have a little bit of
Literally.
reward, and then you crash again. And then by the time you're a pro, this has been like
A journey.
a journey of suffering. So I think it's a bit of like a journey of a founder. So Bill always makes this analogy of like, no, actually, if someone is a kiter or has this like never giving up or wanting to try new things, that helps. So that's a very unusual way to find this. I never thought we would be kiting around and like working, which is
we're kiters now.
yeah, now we're kiters.
Me-
That's the most unusual way to find deals. I think one of the cool ways to find deals that we have is through the community, because we have really cool investors and founders. Founders are a great source of deals, because they're like, oh, I'm working on something new because I sold the last thing, or I know someone that I've known for all these years that did this and now wants to do that. So staying close to amazing founders, then they will spot other amazing founders, or they will go into doing amazing new things. So you just want to stay around, even like not just the founders, like the teams. And we had an exit on the second fund, and it was actually Bill had backed one company called Treasure Data, and then one of their engineers left to build something, and then the same founders of the previous company backed him, the same investors of the previous company, and then he sold the business 2 years after.
And
So-
we're back to leveraging as well the power of the community. I think that it's not even for source of the deals as well, for the due diligence. Like a lot of the times, like there's very specific technical things that if, for example, now an energy deal comes to us and we don't know how to assess it, we can send it to you and you're probably like, oh yes, no, blah. Like in 2 minutes, we have like an amazing expert looking into a deal. And that I think that we try to like harness the power of this community, because we have amazing founders and investors and people in the community.
And then
So
we do a lot
great.
of things. We go to a lot of events. We do a lot of demo days. We try to just see what trends are happening. Doesn't mean we invest, but you have to stay. I think one of the hardest things of what we do is just staying very up to date all the time and being able to look like forward. So yeah, tech competition and things like this as well.
Great. And you do have a focus on Web3, blockchain, and AI. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about why you're focused on those topics.
Well, we're investing for the next 10 years, right? So I think part of the job is like, how do you want the world to look in the next 10 years? And then looking at that, then you look now and you're like, okay, hopefully, I hope my mom in the village, for example, can just sit there and have her electricity grid pay her for the electricity she hasn't used, or the peer-to-peer project you had done. I always like this example because it's like a technology, like you would just sit there and share your energy and then help the local business, and then you get beer in reward. Perfect. Like just an example of how you want to see the future and then investing now into that. And I think there's no way investing in the next 10 years if you're not using AI to the maximum and blockchain when needed. But I think blockchain is way more needed than it's just being long, but it's very needed. And for some of the things, for example, for the peer-to-peer energy trading, could you do that without blockchain? I don't think so. So you have to invest in the future and how you want to see it. So I think there's no option but investing these technologies.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely do things like peer-to-peer trading without blockchain as other things, but what it provides is it makes it more efficient.
Yeah.
Like in the same way, you can have a supermarket without barcodes, and it's not like anyone's going to the supermarket because of the barcodes, but having them there means the stock control's better. There's less mistakes. It's fast when you go through the till. And I think it's analogous in the use of blockchain in energy trading and tokenization of renewable energy certificates and carbon credits. It makes the whole system just work very efficiently.
Yeah, because one of the things we always say is like we have to invest in things that reduce friction. So you're trying, to the point of like blockchain reducing friction a lot in some cases.
Yeah, I think friction's a word that gets used a lot in blockchain, maybe not so as well understood more broadly, but what you're talking about, I think, is like having something that works in a very elegant way without having too many intermediaries sitting between them or too many processes or points of friction and failure.
Yeah, exactly. And making things a bit more instant. So it allows for scalability to happen faster, because it's just, you have less intermediaries or less processes around it.
Yeah, great. Hey, ladies, if I may, I wanted to ask you 3 questions that are a bit more like telling us a bit about yourself. The first one is, what's your favorite song?
We Are the World.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but
See,
that's the song we wanted to be like the Sangha song.
Very
That-
nice.
It's the song that we sing since we're super young.
Same. We used to sing it in year 1 at school, and we all put our hands in the air.
yeah, we've even sing it with our cousins in Christmas. Every Christmas is
But
like, We Are the World.
still
And
now.
there's a
No,
fabulous Netflix documentary all about the making of it as well. If
Oh,
you haven't
really?
seen that, it's worthwhile watching it. Yeah.
Oh, good.
I will write it down.
My next question is, what's the best advice a mentor gave you about the work you're doing?
I think Bill's values, I don't want to go back to what we said already, but like it's really, I think we should all live out of them. And it's like stand for something greater than yourself, leave people and places better off after interacting, and use your power to empower others. I think if everybody would live out of these 3 principles, the world would be an amazing place.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think one of the best things is the honesty angle and the avoiding the noise thing that we repeated quite a bit already. But yeah, there's a lot of noise in the world, so staying focused is very important. So this is one of the things here. Sometimes we're like, oh, FOMO this and that, and then it's like, no, no, no. You stay focused. We know what we're doing. You read, you think, you plan, and you execute, and just that's very important.
So what do you do to actually stay focused? Like, what practices do you have in your day to manage
to
your health and well-being and stay focused?
I think for the stay focused, for me, it means staying up to date with things that are happening. So we do go to a lot of conferences and try to talk to a lot of people to keep ourselves informed as much as possible. Because there's always like, you're one day chilling and then OpenAI and then I don't know what, and then NVIDIA new chip, and then suddenly one thing that doesn't correlate to another suddenly is all linked and it changes the whole landscape from one day to another almost. Although it was already there, AI and everything, but there's always these moments that trigger new things. So then you have to relearn, rethink, and reposition stuff. So for me, staying focused is actually staying up to date a lot. So a lot of reading on my side, and then Pilates. We love to go to Pilates together.
And we're a lot out there, like going to all the conferences and trying to be surrounded by people that know more than us and that we can learn from different like industries, different sectors.
I think it's important to find how you process information and how you learn. Like for me particularly, for example, if I hear or see someone and I can have a discussion or just see someone talking about something that I'm passionate about, it does. So a lot of listening to videos when we cannot go, but then if we can show up in person, we always think you have to show up because once you show up, things happen. So yeah, like the first time we met Gemma, we just showed up at World Economic Forum in Davos because we was throwing some blockchain event. But you have to show up, right? Like even after watching a recording would have never been the same.
Yeah.
So we try to be present as much as we can and just learn.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's for me as well so important. Like when I met you, I was like 6 months pregnant and traveling with a 2-year-old.
So cute.
From Australia. And I think I had just gotten over like a chest infection and unfortunately had to have like a course of antibiotics. But I just thought, yeah, going to these, you've got to be discerning and figure out how you're going to spend your time. And I think what you're talking about in terms of like when you are reading and listening to podcasts or understanding new form of knowledge, and that helps you to discern what you're going to actually go to as well and what you're going to focus on.
Yeah, you don't have to be everywhere all the time. That's like that's not being focused either. But it's just knowing when to show up and how, and staying up to date for me is very important for what we're doing.
Great. And what about your favorite podcast, ladies? Tell us who's your go-to?
Beyond 42, it's like this new podcast that one of our investors started. It's quite new, but really, really interesting. So if you guys don't follow her, you should.
Great.
I'm fascinated by what's next in terms of technology. Like you talk about staying on top of it, As what I hear and what the general public hear all the time is AI, blockchain, but what actually is what's coming? What are you excited about that's coming next?
So I think the way we've looked at it is like there were three kind of big waves. You had a bit of like a hardware wave initially at the beginning when they created all the chips and the computers and everything. Then you had a bit of a software where you had the internet and internet as we know it. And the next thing would be because we put everything on the cloud and that brought so many efficiencies. But the next one being context aware clouds. So now it's not just the information is there, is that the information is there and knows where it is and understands the context around it. So it's very powerful. So you can understand and create. So it's a whole new internet in a way. And that has had to happen because the hardware got redone. So I think we're a bit of on a point where we need new hardware, which we already have some, but I guess there's a space for competition there because there's not enough competition. And then as well, the context aware cloud concept, I think, is very important. If information just goes up and then you are retrieving it, now you're understanding, the cloud is understanding itself. So it's actually just adding
Massive.
value back, which is crazy. And it can generate what you need. So the amount of efficiencies we see going forward in terms of like even just normal processes, like how we do our calls already now, we have it's little things, but we invested in a company that records your Zoom calls and your Google Meet calls and things like this, right? You would think, oh, it's not that game changer just to have a recorder. It's crazy. It's like a live CRM because everything happens online. All our calls are recorded. I can go in, search by word. I have every single call I've done with someone, what was talked about.
And when I finish the call, I
So
get an
easy.
email with a summary. So I have like the bullet points of what we discussed, which I think is for me, it's been life changing.
Yeah, and then you can create documents out of like that information without having to rewrite everything all the time. So I think the amount of efficiency that's going to be introduced in the system in the short term is huge. It's already happening if you use it, but it's coming like crazy in the shorter term. But long term, everything, even like, I mean, I don't know, Gemma, like, but you like the grid could be talking to the grid in a way, like in a very much more smart way. You can talk about this better than me, but even in the energy sector, I think.
Well, I think there's a real intersection between AI and energy, which is not that well talked about. I'm just writing an article about that for Forbes right now because a lot of the tech companies that had made commitments to like offset carbon emissions or buy renewable energy have recently abdicated that. Like Google's announced that it's no longer going to be going carbon neutral because its energy consumption, I think, went up 48% in 2023 due to AI. And Microsoft has said that it doesn't know how it's going to achieve its offset targets and it's instead going to focus on energy efficiency. And I think that, every spare bit of energy is being scooped up now for AI. And there are very big consequences for that. So I think understanding how green is the AI is going to be very important. And looking at the impacts of some of these tools, as life-changing as they are, there's also, unintended consequences as well. So I think there'll need to be solutions that track those things in the same way blockchain, like, how green is your wallet? How green is your blockchain? How green is your AI? And I think we're going to need to really look at the impacts of some of these new technologies as well as the positive things that they provide.
Yeah, as well, the other sector that I think is going to be
Health.
crazy is the health. Like all the tests, all the drug discovery, everything can be done way more efficient, way faster. And that's just going to be, in terms of health advancement, I think what's coming in the following years in health tech, we've never seen anything like it
Yeah, I think it's
before.
going to help a lot the R&D for healthcare, which is massive. Like it's going to lead to faster cures and faster.
Personalized preventive care, like a lot of stuff like this as well. So yeah, I don't know. It's
Same
exciting.
in education as
Future
well. I
is
think
exciting.
education is super exciting in these times as well because you can get personalized education to the level of like figuring out like a personalized exercise for you because you're having trouble with like multiplications and it's going to tackle exactly what you're lacking of knowledge. And then I think that's massive for students as well.
But Anthony, as well, part of where the future is going to go is part of the work we're doing now. So that there's tech can be a double-edged sword, as Gemma was saying. So deploying capital into areas and things that matter is important now, probably more than ever before.
I love that. And I love how as well, what I see is that it's that battle with the personalization and the bringing all the information and everything together. But at the same time, you're fans of podcasts and things which are genuinely authentic and very personalized. And it's that blend, which I think is really where we're trying to find the common ground for everything at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. Everything. Human tech, impact, nature.
Education particularly, because I think education systems have been built on the basis that everybody's the same, and that and generally, quite speaking, outdated ideas of what the education system is. So if you employ all of this kind of technology, as you're talking about, that you can make much more personalized education systems that can really help people achieve a whole lot more than what has been achieved in the past.
Agree. And it's the base of everything. If you have educated people, you can achieve anything.
And teaching things that matter, because now it's kind of the information gets created, the information is out there. What are you actually teaching? Maybe we should be teaching a lot of critical thinking, a lot of other skills that were not taught before, because you had to cover a lot of things that you couldn't cover.
And how to use the resources instead of being afraid of ChatGPT. Help them leverage the use of it. Help them use all these tools that they're out there. I think we have amazing tools now that we didn't have when we were growing up, and I think that's a massive advantage that they can use instead of just banning in schools all of these things. No, it's out there. Just use it. Teach them how to use it.
And there's enough technologies where education should be in remote areas, and there should be no place in the world not connected. So that's another thing that is just unthinkable. I can't believe there's still places without internet, schools that are not connected. It's just mind blowing to us. And we have people part in the community that have mapped out all the schools in the world that are connected and which ones are not. So that's a massive impact project where, at least by identifying, then you can find solutions around. And be it Starlink, being Tommy, one of our educational tech companies that allows to bring internet remote areas and the content.
Which is very important.
Yeah, so I think that we're moving towards education in particular being one of the first things that I think we should bring to the developed world.
Especially, it's been the same for the past how many years? We have there has not been any innovation in education. I think it's the base of everything.
Absolutely. Well, and there's so much that can be done in that space that hasn't been, and I think that's where the power is. And again, goes back to bringing it all together with a community that's wanting to support and help each other.
Exactly.
I just wanted to finish up by asking both of you, what advice would you give to someone who's just in that early phases of, I've got an idea and I can see that this can go big? What advice do you give them?
Follow your gut, get a mentor that understands better what you're trying to do or that can guide you through the process.
You just don't give up. Show up. Don't give up and show up. You don't know something, I don't know, you don't know accounting, go to an accounting course and solve that, or find someone that can help you with that and just move forward. Don't give up.
What does a typical day look like for you ladies?
It depends. When it's reporting season, we start kind of working on our reports. We do a lot of calls with founders, existing and non-existing founders, to find pipeline and see trends and learn and stay up to date. We have as well weekly calls with our co-founder Bill to go over things that will happen, deal flow, what we're looking at, trends. So
even
very
discuss
broad.
about what's going on the market.
Reading. Honestly, it involves a lot of calls because we do a lot of staying up to date with the founders, a lot of conferences depending on the time of the year.
Yeah.
But there's no typical day, which I think is kind of very cool. So we might be in a conference taking a call, but then going back to the conference. So there's no every day is the same kind of thing. I think we try to, when we're in a place, try to stay present and learn. Then when we're back home, the good thing of the business is that you can organize a little bit as you want. The day doesn't mean it doesn't get very full, but you can have different days depending on what you need or the business needs.
And there's always things to learn.
Yeah,
you
really
never
agree.
you never get bored of, like, there's always what's next, like there's always new learnings, new things to look at, and I think that's very exciting.
And that's what's cool about the working together part, because at least like you're sharing, you're commenting, and we're never like alone in the process, which I think a lot of founders feel very lonely. Sometimes we hear that a lot from the founders. So I think as well, maybe find a nice co-founder or find a good community around where you don't feel alone. We have a good relationship with our founders as well. We're like a lot of times like with WhatsApp or we go, there's a lot of social, like we have fun together. I think sometimes business gets led to like seriousness and boring, and I think it can be nice and fun and very personal and a bit more human and a bit less cold, and that might make the process easier as well for everybody. But yeah, our day is like very broad, but at the end is a lot of calls with founders, a lot of staying up to date and learning and just enjoying the
And
process.
I think always, like, even to the same topic, we can look at the same company and we have different perspectives because maybe my background is completely different. So it's interesting as well to put our thoughts together and see like, oh, I looked at this, I looked at that, and like the outcome is way more detailed because we looked at different things all the time. So it's very interesting as well to see these like overlaps.
And we always go for a walk. Sports sometimes, but definitely at least a walk for sure every day.
Especially when you have a tough thing that we need to like go through. Walking is the best. Like just talking and walking.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I walk every day, like 4 kilometers a day with my dog. And yeah, I fell in love with walking, actually walking through Spain, doing the Camino de Santiago. And it was just so good for getting, I got the idea for Power Ledger, the beginnings of it, from doing that walk. Yeah, it was really very life-changing. And I find walking so meditative. It's so important to reset.
I think being close to nature is so important for like your brain to come up with new ideas and new strategies and new,
and staying out of your comfort zone a little bit. If we are too much in the comfort zone, it just doesn't.
Yeah, I think it's something actually we're always out of our comfort zone. I was once
so much.
It was funny because we were talking with Bill about this, and I'm like, can I be one day in my comfort zone? Like I would appreciate as much just being at the comfort. I think we've been pushing ourselves a lot to be out there, like learn and just try to push our limits.
If I look back when, like, from 2 years ago, you guys were, you used a great word before, Carolina. You're more comfortable now, but I felt like you were really nervous about how you were going to make all of this thing work, and I think everyone else was looking at you going, "You guys are fully capable." You were not so sure. It definitely feels different now, and it's really nice to see you build your confidence as well as being more comfortable doing what you're doing and seeing so much more potential in yourselves as well, as much as other people saw in you as well. And I think that there's 2 things that I just got from what you just said. The first one was that for you personally, growth and variety is really important, and having fun. That if I take away, and then in terms of the advice that you would give to other would-be entrepreneurs, it's to do those things, to stay out of your comfort zone and have a curious mind. And if you don't have something, have some conversations with people and figure out a way to solve that. Don't let that thing hold you back, and just use that as a rung on a ladder to move forward.
Yeah, which it's I think is what we did. So that's the advice I think that I know works, that we've tried it. So it's just don't give up and just ask for help. Like seriously, people are nice. So if you have nobody's gonna eat you. You can ask and people will help you. And if they don't help you, find someone else that will help you.
Yeah, back to the honesty as well. Like I think it's important.
I love it. It's such a great way to wrap things up. And I think what's important is hopefully there's lots of people out there listening in and on their 4-kilometer walks, coming up with great ideas for what the next thing is that they're going to pitch to you and meet you somewhere, kite sailing somewhere specific. And last final word, where's the best place to kite sailing?
Australia, Perth is one of the, we haven't tried yet, but apparently Perth is one of the best places to
It's
kite.
very good.
Um,
I mean, Bill created a tech festival there with Paula Taylor called West Tech Fest, because he went and did a talk in Perth and he saw it had the best kite surfing, one of the best kite surfing in the world. And so he created the tech festival, so he had a reason to go there every year and kite surf. So, yeah. I mean, ladies, thank you so much for this conversation. I think it's been great to hear your backstory about how you got into what you're doing. Some of the more like cool things I've gotten out of this conversation is I like what you said, Carolina, that determine where the money goes, the future gets determined, and that you want to make finance more human. And a key part of that is fostering the community and harnessing the power of community. And I really like that you said it takes $30 million to train an investor and that you are now trained. And being an entrepreneur can be fun, but can also be a journey of suffering. But that it's really important for you in everything you do to lift people up. And every day you're looking at how do you cut through the noise and avoid the noise. And part of doing that is really having a curious mindset and seeing what there is to learn. And you really like to curate your day in a way that is still full, but has a lot of growth and variety in it, and ensures that you stay out of your comfort zone and also, very importantly, having fun.
You say it better than us.
Thank you, Gemma.
Thank you so much.
No,
Thank you, Anthony. It's been great.
Thank you all. And of course, everyone will join us for the next episode coming up soon. That's all for this episode of Unblocked. Please check out the show notes for information on Power Ledger and other contact information. We welcome your comments and feedback, and please hit subscribe wherever you are listening. This podcast was produced by Podcast Done For You. We look forward to your company next time on Unblocked.